Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. Sorry about the slow start, just trying to get my camera in the right position. I film using my mobile phone and it doesn't always want to sit properly on the tripod that I've got for it, but we're there, I think. So apologies for that wobbly start. I've got a really quick and simple card for you today using the balloon Festoon. We are about to launch into the dreaded C word next in September in my classes, so that is next month actually. It's the 3rd of August today. So I wanted to my August class is just going to be some quick simple birthday cards to get us over Christmas while we start on the Christmas prep, because that obviously does take a little while, and I've said that C word several times, so apologies to anybody that is in denial. It has to happen soon, I'm afraid. Okay, so really quick and simple card, and what I've done is I've used the balloon Festoon stamps and dies. So this is the stamp set. You've got one balloon, you've got a string, you've got this sort of festoony banner thing, I suppose you'd call it, several greetings, and then you've got these stars, confetti spots, and sort of bigger confetti spots that you can stamp onto the balloons if you so wish. In this card, I've only actually used the stamp for the string and the enjoy your day, and it will have happy birthday on the inside of the card. So those are the stamps. These are the dies. I'm going to flip this over. I always store mine so I can see the pattern on the front, but then I can actually see the dies on the back, and you can see that you do get quite a big range of balloon dies. This string we're going to use on the card I'm going to show you today, so I can show you 2 alternative ways to do your strings. And these are the sort of reflection parts. I do wish in a way that they had done a stamp that did these bits, but you can cut them out, die cut them out, and then pop them on your balloon. So yeah, so they come in 3 different sizes. So you've got 1, 2 and 3 to fit the bigger, middle size and smaller balloons. Okay, so what I've done, if I'm just going to push that card up there, hopefully you can still see it, and I'm going to bring in the bits I've already prepared. So first of all, I have a Misty Moonlight. No, I don't have a Misty Moonlight. Blueberry Bushel card base. I'm so sorry. We're having a heat wave in England and it's affecting my brain capabilities. Anyway, so we have a piece of Blueberry Bushel, and this is cut the length of an A4 sheet. So in the UK, and there are a few other countries that use a standard A4, this is half cut lengthways. So it's 10.5 wide, and it's 14.8 that way when it's folded. So basically I've scored it and then cut it in half, and that's going to make our base card. Now we're going to have a basic white layer onto the card. That's going to go on there. Now ordinarily I would stick that on there and then add everything else, but you'll see why in a minute, why we're not going to. So I'm just going to pop those to one side for the minute, and then I'll go through what else we've got. So I've used some of the 6x6 Brights, Subtles and Regals papers. Now these are the retired ones, so if you've got the modern ones you'll notice that you've got a different pattern on yours, but my challenge for 2026 is to try and use up some of my patterned paper, because there is a lot of it. I buy it, I like it, and then I don't always remember that I've got it, so I don't always use it. So anyway, so we've got 3 different colours here. This one's Coastal Cabana. I think that's Balmy Blue, and I think that it's not Azure Afternoon, because that wasn't out when these papers came out, and it's not Blueberry Bushel either. I think it's a retired colour. But it's fairly, if I bring the colour wheel in, you'll see it's fairly close to Azure Afternoon. It's just a little bit darker, so I think that's a retired blue. But as I said, trying to use my paper stock up, so we're going with that. Right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to stick this biggest balloon onto our card base, but I want it going over the edge of the card. And that's why I haven't stuck it down to the card base, because I'm going to need to trim those sections you can see off there. So I just need to put my glue on the left hand sort of side, and I'm using Tombow because that just gives me a little bit of wiggle room, and that balloon is going to go sticking over. I don't want to see the white corner of the cardstock. So that is going to go there, and I can slide it over a little bit to hide the white corner, hence the Tombow. Right, then we're going to get my snips. These are now in the new catalogue. If anybody's been looking for these, they're now called precision scissors, whereas they used to be called snips because they were called snips for so long. That's what I still call them. And I'm just trimming off using the edge of the card mat layer as a guide. I'm just trimming off those bits there, so those can go. We don't need those. Okay, I'm just going to pop my scissors away. If I don't tidy up, I can never find anything, so I try and tidy as I go. I work on quite a small desk and things disappear quickly. Right, so now we're going to come in with our second balloon, and this is actually going to fit onto the card matte layer, so we're not going to worry about trimming this. But if you wanted to do it over a bit further, you could, and then trim the edge, but I'm going to make sure it fits on. So before I add that, if I was using the stamp string, which is what this is, I would stamp my string for the big balloon, bring in my smaller balloon and position it, and then stamp the string for that. And that's what I did on the other card. I then brought in my third little balloon, which is sort of going to sit there somewhere, and then I added that string. But what we're going to do today, so I can show you both ways, is that these are the bits that die cut out of the die. It cuts 2 pieces at a time, and my my die slipped, so you can see it's cut it to a point there, which is fine because we don't need that part. So what we're going to do is just put a little tiny bit of glue on a silicone mat. Now I could have backed this with the sticky stuff, you know, that makes things into stickers, but it is a bit of a faff for this tiny little piece. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue on there. Now it's going to be really difficult to run that through the edge, so hopefully you can see that. I can just put a little bit of glue in the corner of my silicone mat and then just run the rest sort of very gently over the top, because I don't really want it on the top. Okay, and that should be enough glue to get that to stick down for us. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that one on there, and I'm going to stick it under. I don't really get the knobbly bit. Well, I do, but I don't want it today. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that down there, and then I'm going to chop that off. So we've got that bit. So this is why I'm not having the knobbly bit, this bit here, showing, because that bit should go round the balloon there like that. But I don't want it like that because I want to use this extra bit. So now I'm going to put some glue on the back of my second balloon. You do have to, when you're putting glue on a silicone mat, keep it away from other things. So, which is why I've just moved our card that I showed you at the beginning out of the way, because I don't want to get glue on that. Okay, so this, hopefully you can see that, this one is going to come a little bit lower, so that's going to just come in and tuck in there, so it's level with the edge of the card. Obviously our card base is bigger than this matte layer, so it doesn't matter if it goes right to the edge. And then with that last little bit that we just chopped off, again I'm just going to run that through my little blob of glue. I'm going to lift that up and just tuck that under there. So that's our extra piece. I'm going to chop that off. Now it does pay to have some baby wipes close at hand when you're doing this kind of thing, because my fingers get really, really sticky. Save me having to keep getting up and go and wash them in between each string on the balloon. Right, okay, so we've now got 2 of our balloons. Now this third one is going to go up on some dimensionals, and I'm just using up the edges. So I always use my silicone scissors for cutting anything that's sticky or gluey. And I'm just using the edges up on a bigger a bigger sheet of cardstock. And I've actually put those on the wrong side because I wanted to have that pattern showing. So sometimes if you're very careful with dimensionals, you can peel them off without ruining the paper if you haven't pressed them down really hard. So it's a good idea sometimes not to press really hard until you're sure you've got them where you wanted them. So I'm going to put that one back on there. I've turned it over. I just stuck that one on my hand, keep it where I wanted it, where I knew where it was. And I'm just going to take the backs off those. Crisis averted. And then we're going to stick this one sort of up here. So then that other piece of balloon string that I cut, although that went to a point right down the bottom, there's no need to waste that and cut it again. So that's going to come down to about there. So I'm just going to tear the end off that and get rid of it, just because I've got sticky stuff everywhere. And then again, we are going to go through our, not very much glue left now. And that is going to go under there. And again, I'm going to stick it underneath rather than on top because I want it to be the same as the others. And that's just going to come down there like that. And then again, I'm just going to trim that level with the bottom of the card. Okay. And then the silicone mat that I've got the glue on, that will just go and have a wash in my sink. Okay, so we've got to that bit. Just going to give my fingers a wipe because they're quite sticky. Just to get the worst off because I don't want things to start sticking to my fingers. Okay, right, so that's that bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is attach that to the card base. So as I said, I've got a portrait fold card base. So I'm going to put some glue on the back here. And obviously you can use whatever glue you find easier. I just find Tombow easier. But if you want to use a tape runner or a tear and tape, that's entirely up to you. Now, one thing I do is I open up the card base because there's nothing worse than trying to stick a matte layer onto a bouncy card base and get it level. Okay, there we go. So that's our matte layer onto our card. And then what I've done is I've got a Enjoy Your Day sentiment strip, and I'm just going to show you how I do this because I'm using this punch. Triple Banners, I think it's called, but unfortunately they're quite small. They're wide enough to take quite a lot of greetings, but they're quite short. So this Enjoy Your Day greeting, as you can see if I hold it over there, is longer. So what I've done, I measured the size of the width of the punch, and it's 1/2 inch. So what I've done is I've cut some basic white scraps basically down to 1/2 inch. I've done these in the trimmer. You can cut them on a guillotine. I'm not very good at cutting it by eye. So what I'm then going to do is open up my blueberry bushel because that's the base we've used. And I'm going to stamp Enjoy Your Day, leaving a gap at each end. Let's try and get it straight. Okay, so that's it stamped. Now, to get it to punch it out longer, I can see that's not very level, I might have to trim that. What you need to do is feed it in. So I've got the punch upside down so I can see where it's going to punch, and I'm just going to feed that in through there like that on that end and punch that off. And then I'm going to turn it round and feed it back in the other way, and that's where you can see it's not very level. So I'm just going to have to snip a little bit off that end. They tend to skid about a bit in the trimmer when you're trying to cut something like 1/2 inch. Okay, so I've just trimmed that off a little bit, and you might have to persuade it to go in. This end always seems to be harder than the other end for some reason. You can see it's going to come out there, but I've just got to flick it up enough with my finger underneath it to get it to do what we want it to do and not get stuck in the punch. I knew this would happen when I was videoing. I've just done 3. There we go. I've just done 3 of these really easily. So you just have to sort of help feed it through, and then you can line it up and punch. And then we've then got a much longer sentiment than the punch actually does. Okay, I'll just get rid of those end pieces because we don't need those. And then, oh, where's it gone? Sorry about that, it slipped off camera. And then again, I'm just using up the edges on my dimensionals. So we're going to have one there. I'll just chop this one here. I mean, the good thing about being able to do this is you absolutely do not waste any dimensionals at all. Okay, I'm just going to flick the back ends off those. And then we can add our greeting. Now on the card I showed you before, I went across the biggest balloon and the middle sized balloon, and there's a reason for that, because we've got a white base card. Ooh, a white base card. If I was to stick that on the white against white doesn't pop very well. So that's why I stuck it across the balloons. But if you did want to put it down here, what you could do is just ink around the edges with your ink pad. But as I said, I want to pop it on there, and we're just going to try and get it level. Okay, so that is a little bit higher than the last one, but because it's got that blue under most of it, I think we'll be okay. So there we go. There's the 2 cards. Nice, quick, simple cards. Not much stamping. None at all if you choose to use the die cut strings, apart from the sentiment. And then the final thing I'm going to do is just grab another white matte layer. Now these are cut at 10 by 14.3, and when I'm cutting them I usually cut a stash of them. Just reaching for a block, and then we're just going to have the happy birthday, and obviously it's up to you which way round you wanted to put this. There's the happy birthday. You could do the happy birthday on the front and the enjoy the day on the inside, totally your choice. There's our happy birthday. And again, we're going to bring in the blueberry bushel and just stamp that in the middle there. And then what you can do if you want to, there is this smaller balloon here. It does coordinate with one of the dies, but it's the only actual balloon. So I'm just grabbing another block. And we are just going to stamp one there. And this one does have the shine on it, and one there. Okay, and that leaves us plenty of room to write. So we're just going to pop that onto the inside of our card even. Okay, so I'm going to open up that card. So that, yes, those die cut pieces like I pointed out to you do this sort of shine on your balloons. And if I wasn't using patterned paper, I would have die cut those as well, which is why I said it was a shame there wasn't a stamp to coordinate with them, but I suppose that'd be quite a lot more stamps for each side. Anyway, so there's our finished card. I'll bring in the one I started with. And as I said, we've just put that in there. Hope you like it, and I hope you'll give it a go. And I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, and happy stamping.